This is a 1.16 PvP tutorial that's more detailed than my last video. I realized that in my last video I could go over a lot of the stuff that I went over a lot better. So I am going to start with a fight, but I am going to go over in more detail on what to do in many situations. So I'm just going to go over what you should be doing in the very beginning. I'm going to be going over the very basics as if you have never done this at all before. So the first thing you want to do is have a hotkey to your crossbow. And this is good because you want to be able to switch to your crossbow immediately, very quickly, so that you can get an extra shot in before they can hit you. And you want to go on the defensive at first. You want to wait for them to come to you. There are strategies where you could go to them and still win, but usually you want to wait for them to come to you because then they make their first move and you can act on that. Then you see he was about to make his move, but since I could predict that, I was able to come in at the perfect time where I was able to hit him. I did not hit him with a critical hit, but it does make them panic a little when they hear themselves get a hit, but they do not get a hit. What we had just there was the standoff period where you're just sitting there and waiting for the other person to make a move. So what I usually do is I usually disable their shield and then move to the side to hit them, but this was sort of a unique time where I was able to hit him with a weak hit when he wasn't able to hit me. And then this is another tactic that you could use multiple times during your fight, which is putting up your shield, letting them disable it, but then that leaves them open to a reply, which is a critical attack that I just got. Now, this is useful because you can deal 2 hearts of damage from a crit, while they deal no damage at all because you have a shield. Now, you'll see here that I go to the left. When people usually say trading crits, that means you run at each other, hit each other, and just go back and forth. But what I did was I moved to the left, hit him, and usually your aim has to be better, and it is harder to trade crits like this, but it does put you at an advantage if you're better at it, because most people can't aim, while you can crit them, and as you can see, I just dealt 4 hearts of damage in all with my previous crit, and my crit before that. Well, he has not damaged my health at all whatsoever, so I already know that I have a large health advantage. And you can see again that I run through him, so he has to turn around, but before he can do that, I already crit him in the back. So right now I know he's 6 hearts low, which essentially means that he's more than halfway through his health. So the gap between our healths are rising even higher. And you can see that movement is very good in 1.16, and if you can outmaneuver your opponent, then you're better, and you can kill them before they can kill you. You should have your sensitivity low enough where you can aim, but high enough where you can move around in a full 360-degree angle in case they try to get behind you, so that your mouse doesn't hit your keyboard or anything around you. And you see just a free crossbow shot. Do not just wait to get like the exact perfect moment with your crossbow shot. Just put it in whenever you can when they're out of range. You don't even have to do it when they're out of range. It's just free 1.5 hearts of damage. You always want to do more damage. You'll see there, he pulled out his crossbow and was able to hit me, and then we go in for each other and I put up my shield. And then you can see, once again, I blocked my shield and hit him. There are many mini scenarios, which in this case was putting up your shield, waiting for them to hit you, and then you crit them. Another scenario is both your shields are disabled, and then you trade crits. What you do in a case of trading crits is you move to the left or to the right. What I would suggest is hotkeying your sprint key, changing your sprint key to using your pinky instead of double tapping with W. My sprint key personally is caps lock. Some people can use shift, some people use control, some people even use tab. But try to make sure that you can strafe with A and D so that you can have the maximum amount of maneuverability so you can outmaneuver your opponent. So one thing that you have to worry about in the very beginning of a fight on the server, it's not only just with the server, but in fights like this, is some people charge up the crossbow and then shoot at you. So they'll get a free hit while you're running forward. So you'll notice here that I run to the left and then start charging my crossbow. It's a very simple thing, and sometimes they don't even fire, but it's just a nice little thing to have so that you don't take that much damage. But even if they do hit you, you will regen. But hit you twice, and then you might not regen a full heart, and that could change the difference between getting killed or winning the match. You can see this area right here where we're just standing off and waiting for each other to make the first move again. You can see I hit his shield and moved to the right. I also get a free crossbow bolt shot. So you'll notice that when I disable his shield, I spam click. So I don't do that much damage, but it knocks him back. Because when he's taking damage from me, his reach is slightly shortened. So also with me moving to the right, not only does he miss, but he also doesn't have enough reach to hit me in the first place. A nice thing to do in 1.16, which you should really maximize and really perfect, is taking advantage of your reach. When strafing to the left while trading crits, try to maximize your 4-block reach to hit them, because the closer you are to them, then the easier it is for them to hit you, because your target is bigger. So maximize your reach and know your reach so that you can do the maximum amount of damage possible. And once again, I block with my shield and sacrifice my shield to get a critical attack on him. Notice again that I move to the left and get another critical attack on him, and he isn't able to hit me back. Now, this is something that sometimes happens where they don't hit you because they're waiting for their axe to charge up, and this is a point where they're somewhat vulnerable because they're thinking whether to hit with not a fully charged hit. Most of the time, they will spam click because they panic to try to knock you back while you can still get a critical attack, because remember that your reach is still longer than just one block, so you can hit them even if they knock you back if you're close enough. Another thing that I do here, although I do miss my crossbow bolt shot, is reload your crossbow if you have the time, because the crossbow is a very important tool not only for damage but also to deal knockback to get them away from you, and this allows you to reset to the point where you're both at the standoff point again, in which you can act on other problems. You'll see he breaks my shield, but you see when he breaks my shield, I move to the right, so he tries to hit me again to deal some sort of damage, but I do move to the right. So strafing is very important in 1.16. 1.16 is purely movement based and crit based. Make sure that when you're attempting to deal damage, always make sure that it's a crit. Never deal damage if you don't have an opportunity for a crit. If you aren't attempting to deal damage, but simply to deal knockback and put yourself at a better advantage position, then that is the only case where you attack without a fully charged weapon. Then you also see that my loaded crossbow was able to help me win the round, which is just extra damage, and always use crossbow. You'll see here, he simply runs straight forward to disable my shield, and you see he tries to crit my shield, but no matter what, the shield will block that damage, so when he tries to crit me, it does no damage at all, and I'm able to deal a hit. Now that was not a crit, but it still was able to knock him backward, and it did deal 1 full heart of damage. Take advantage of these right here that you can see. You'll see 1 heart right here sort of fly out from them. That is the amount of damage that you do, for those that didn't know. But it is better just to memorize the amount of damage that you do so that you don't have to constantly think about it, and it's just muscle memory. You'll see I stray from left to right. If this goes on for long enough, be unpredictable, or else they will be able to predict your pattern. If you stray from left to right to left to right, they will be able to predict where you're going to be, and then they'll be able to predict where you're going to be and hit you. So they'll be at advantage if they find a pattern. So when I would suggest go left, right, left, and then go left again, or vice versa, to put them at a disadvantage because they don't know where you're going to be, or they're going to think that you're going one way, and then you can just crit them in the back. You'll see there, that was an example of an uncharged hit. I did that to deal knockback. I did not do that to deal damage, so that I would have time to put my shield up, because there's a slight delay where they can hit you even if your shield is up, because that's the way that shields work in 1.16. And you'll see 2 things that happens there. Is he tries to run through me and hit me in the back, but I am faster than him. That's why you have to know your sensitivity, because if you know your sensitivity, you can know how to do a complete 180 and be right where you want to be. If your sensitivity is off, then you could be slightly short or overextend yourself, but I was able to hit him when he was behind me and then put up my shield, and once again, that same mini scenario where he hits my shield and I crit him back. And you'll see there, I hit him with my crossbow, free damage. At this point, I already know I'm going to win the fight because I have a massive health advantage, and he also misses his crossbow bolt shot. So a good thing to know is do not panic, because I have won fights when I am on 3 hearts and I've barely done any damage because they simply are overconfident. But do not underestimate yourself, because there's always something that can change the tide, like a crit combo with an axe that can bring down their health so fast, and anything can happen. So don't get overconfident and never think that you're going to lose too soon. And another thing that he does right there is he tries to hit me, but he doesn't critical attack me. Nice thing to know is that a critical attack must be done with a fully charged weapon, and you cannot be sprinting for a critical attack. You'll notice that for me, you may not notice this immediately, but when I critical attack, I lift my hand off W and press S. So this makes it so that I go backwards. So not only do I get a critical attack, but that knocks them backward, reducing their reach, and I'm out of their reach even more. So it secures the fact that I probably won't get hit back. And you'll see there was a standoff again, and I'm able to crit him again. Make sure that when you're attempting to disable their shield, make sure that they cannot hit you back, because that's what they're expecting. They're waiting for you to make the first move, and to be honest, most people don't expect not to hit you when they make that first move, and it also makes them panic. I panic if I don't get a hit on them when they disable my shield. One thing that I missed almost, that he barely made, was charging his crossbow right there. I did explain in my last video that you should never charge a crossbow when you're at point blank range. That's kind of common sense. He barely got away with it this time because he was able to charge his crossbow and barely put up his shield, but I also disabled his shield, which already put him at a disadvantage, and he wasn't able to hit me back. And once again, he turns around to run. I would not run if you are just low. What I would do is only run if you have your shield disabled. Like, you'll notice that when Dream is in one of his PvP battles in Dream XD channel, you'll notice that he runs when his shield is disabled, because the shield is a very important thing. One thing that I do is when my shield is disabled, I go on the offensive, which many people will do, but do not do that unless you are confident in your ability to be on the offensive. I'm not even that confident in my ability to be on the offensive, but I know that a lot of times it will work. So you can either go on defensive and run, or go on the offensive, and if you're good at either, then both of them will work. So I would prefer myself to get good at both, but I'm only good at one so far, which is offensive. I'm not that good at defensive because they usually crit me in the back, because I don't really like running. But a thing to know is that you don't have to do what I do, but you do have to do, if you want to get good at 1.16 PvP, of what you feel comfortable with. What you feel comfortable with in case of sensitivity, FOV, your settings, anything that makes you better at the game. Now, just a little thing to know, which is for this server. This server is a very good server, and that many people use it. The thing is, there's sometimes a glitch where a few milliseconds after the game starts, your crossbow you'll think will load, but it won't. A nice thing that I do is I left click with it so that it sort of hits, and then I start charging it. When you see that the noise that its crossbow loads, that means you know that there actually is a bolt loaded. Sometimes it will glitch and look like there's a bolt loaded when there actually isn't. So you can wait a few milliseconds after to charge your crossbow, or you could just do what I do, punch and then reload the crossbow. Now, one thing that I did like that he did here is he moved from side to side. Now, that may not seem like a big thing, but I have seen people that don't have their shield up. They're a few blocks away from me. They strafe from side to side, which prevents me from hitting their shield and then hitting them again. So that's sometimes a good tactic, but it is easy to crit them somewhat, and I have been able to win those matches and is able to adapt to anything that they throw at you. A main mistake that I just can't say enough is that you don't want to make is disabling their shield when you're at point blank range and you're not strafing. It's so easy to get a critical attack on yourself that the opponent can give you if you just run straight at them. Try not to ever run straight because it can just line you up for crossbow bolts, bow shots, and critical attacks. Another thing that I did here is I moved backwards. Just know when you have to retreat and when you're at a slight disadvantage. Wait for your axe to charge up or anything, but just know when to slightly run backwards. I do not completely run backwards, but I do give myself enough time to reset and put ourselves at the standoff position once more. And you see there, we were going back and forth, and he wasn't able to hit me at all. If I was low, like on a half a heart, I would still have been able to win that match because I knew my sensitivity better than he did, and I was able to go back and forth and hit him, and he was not able to hit me back. Now, another thing that you should take note of is sometimes you can put down their shield when they're running at you and then do the strafe technique. You can combine many techniques. For example, what I just did was I put down my shield, strafed, and then hit him as if I was trading a crit. But the thing was, he thought he was disabling my shield, so he was going to move straight forward, but I was able to crit him. And then you see here, I put up my shield, he fires a crossbow bolt, but it falls off. Another thing to notice is try not to fire your crossbow bolt at a shield at point blank range because it will bounce off the shield and sometimes it can hit you and that can make you panic. Do not panic because 1.16 action shield PvP is a very slow type of PvP. It's strategic. It's not as fast as 1.8.9 sword PvP and with fishing rods. It's very slow, strategic, movement based. Outmaneuver your opponent and you will win. And you can see there, I strafe to the left, put up my shield, block with my shield, his axe stroke, and then I crit him. You can innovate your own ways, improvise your own ways into many of the different battles, and it will help you win the battles, because the better that you get at it, the more that you can adapt to other situations. For example, there are some people that use the sword, which I like to call the blitzkrieg tactic, which is the tactic where you disable their shield and then hit them with a rapid succession of sword strokes. In the very beginning, I took a very large toll from these type of people because I tried to hit them with my axe, but the sword beats the axe because the sword can attack more than the axe, and I wasn't able to hit shots. So in case you encounter someone like that, you can that's one case where you run away because the shield beats the sword because the shield mitigates all damage from the sword. Or you could be someone that uses the blitzkrieg, which is where I've done once or twice, where you disable their shield and then hit with the sword. I'm not as good at 1.16 sword PvP, so it doesn't always work out for me, but it is very unexpected. I don't really expect it in axe shield PvP. You expect to come against an axe, not sword. So it actually is a surprising tactic to use if you're feeling good about it. Now, just a little something is sometimes I want to get the first shot, so you'll notice that my crosshair has kind of hover above his head because I'm thinking about firing a crossbow bolt at him. But I know that I've done that before and it does nothing because like their food bar is full, so their health will simply regenerate. And the thing to know is that the more damage you take, the more health you lose in 1.16. So the longer fights take away more of your healing power. And that's where I did something again. I put down my shield and then crit him because he missed his shot and then I hit mine. If you simply are just better at aiming and maneuvering, then you will win 1.16 PvP. If you're a 1.8.9 PvPer and you know how to aim, then that is actually a very useful skill to transfer over to 1.16 PvP because you need more quality shots in 1.16. It's not as much quantity over quality. Now you can see there, he was recharging his crossbow. I was recharging my crossbow. So what people usually do is they recharge their crossbow, pull out their axe, and start running. What I did was I immediately shot my crossbow after I loaded it, because I knew he was low, and I knew that any amount of damage would count. So it is always important to just get in crossbow bolt shots. I would suggest that you do not use the bow at all, because it does not do as much damage as the crossbow, and quality hits are what matter in 1.16. So what I would say, if you should take away anything from this video, is you should outmaneuver your opponent, take advantage of your reach in Minecraft, and also have quality hits. If they hit you with a lot of tiny hits that barely do any damage, and you're hitting them with crits, even if it's a lot less crits, you will be able to win. You should get familiar with your Minecraft settings and make sure that you can aim correctly, and also that your crossbow bolts can also hit their mark at far ranges and somewhat close ranges. Try not to use ranged weapons at close range. Thank you for watching. I hope this tutorial helped a lot more than my previous one, and have a good day.